What's up, Awoken TV? How's everybody doing? Beautiful. I am live. Say hi if you're jumping on. Let me know where you are tuning in from. Sorry, my volume's up. Okay, I just want to make sure that my comments are working. Hi, Steven. Hi, Caprice. Cool. I get to close my phone. Yay, look how fast that was. Thanks for jumping on that, guys. Welcome to Awoken TV. Welcome back if you've been here before. If you have not checked out Awoken TV, I definitely recommend going to www.awoken.tv to learn more about other shows like this, courses, conscious filmmakers. It's basically a spiritual and metaphysical Netflix, and you can also find it on the App Store. So I definitely encourage you to check out more of what Awoken has to offer. And if you have not been here before, welcome. My name is Laura Mazzotta. I am an Akashic healer and teacher, and I'm really here to share my mission of teaching the Akashic records with as many people as possible, because it's completely and entirely changed my life, blown me away, along with my loved ones and my clients. So I am here to share that with as many people as possible. I've also been a therapist for almost 20 years. So it's beautiful to be able to merge these two modalities and understand the what it takes to be human, right? And the challenges that it takes to be human, and be able to inform them from a higher perspective rather than just putting labels on them or judgments on them, as we do very often as human beings, right? So I'll just note really quickly, if you guys are watching this in from a group or on Emerge Healing and Wellness Facebook page, I am not going to see your comments live unless you jump over to Awoken TV Facebook page. So if you're on Awoken TV and you put your comments here, we can chat live. Otherwise, I won't be able to answer comments until after the end of the video. So anyway, just want to let you know that so that you don't think I'm ignoring you if you guys are over there on Emerge or in another group and feeling like, why isn't this lady talking to me? Okay, so tonight we're talking about self-sabotage. So you can raise your hand in the comments if you have some understanding of this, whether it's with you or with somebody else that you have seen this occur with. But I would love to know kind of how this pattern comes up, because this is a really, really big one. And it's a really common one that arrives in the self-help industry in general, whether we're talking about therapy or coaching or spirituality. Hi, Amber. Hi, Laura. Hi, Jen. Thank you guys so much for being here. Yay, happy Sunday. I hope everybody's doing well. Okay, so what is self-sabotage and kind of how does it present in our lives? Okay, so the Akash actually gave me notes for tonight. Most of the time they don't, but every once in a while they're like, listen, there are, and for this one, there was like a whole list of things just over the course of the week that just kept coming through around self-sabotage that they're like, we want people to know this, we want people to know that. So I'm just going to jump back and forth between my notes and just bring them through with the Akasha's piping in my ear. So how does it show up? So it shows up because in a way that we don't follow through with the things that we know that we want or that we're destined for, right? Like we know what we want, we know what we're looking for, and then we end up making decisions that take us further away from moving towards our desires. And then we get frustrated with ourselves. And that's what happens, right? We get frustrated with ourselves, and then that doesn't help the cycle because we criticize ourselves, we judge ourselves for being in this place, and then we're at even a lower vibration, and we're getting further and further and further from where we want to be. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for being here, honey. Okay. So these decisions that we make to take us further from our desires, they're not necessarily conscious. It's not like we're deciding, oh, I'm going to go do this and shoot myself in the foot. It's very, very rare that that happens. And that's why I want you to take some pressure off yourself. The vast majority of the time when we self-sabotage, it's because it's subconscious. Okay, we're talking like the 90th percentile here of people who are self-sabotaging are not doing so on purpose. They're not doing so consciously. They're not saying, oh, I'd love to screw myself today and see how that goes, right? Okay, so it's a subconscious pattern. So like be easy on yourself. And so that's one of the things that they really want to bring through, is that a lot of this self-sabotaging behavior, especially if it's a chronic pattern, is entirely based in old stories, right? And a lot of these old stories are not even ours to carry. Most of the time, these are rooted in ancestral healing, sometimes past lives, but mostly ancestral, our ancestry. And this could be people that we have known in human form. It could be people that we don't know in human form, right? So it's getting an understanding of a compassionate understanding of the context from where we came. So that could be, all right, let me look at my current life. And this is one of the things I do in the Akashic Record Certification Program. I take people through, all right, let's evaluate, you know, the root of this problem in your current life. Let's go back and check that out all the way to when you were born. And then let's look at it in terms of an ancestral pattern. And let's clear that and we'll learn how to shift and move that energy and transform it. And then we do past lives. And then we even do astral travel, going back to like soul spark origins, soul origins that can impact our self-sabotaging cycle. Okay. So there's so many different layers to it, and you get to decide. That's what's so cool, right? About free will, about us being on this planet and having brains that combine with this infinite wisdom to be able to make decisions that we want to make for forwarding our soul's path. So you get to decide whether or not you want to implement what they're bringing forward in any moment, or if you say, listen, I just want to stay at this layer because it doesn't feel safe to me for me to go beyond that. And that's why, inner child work is a big piece with this one too. So I'm going to get to that in a minute. But all right, I just want to follow their order here. So ultimately, self-sabotage is entirely rooted in not feeling deserving, feeling unworthy. And I want to clarify, that doesn't mean feeling unworthy entirely, okay? But just feeling not worthy enough of maybe what it is you desire or what it is you want. It doesn't mean you're not worthy at all, but it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm worthy enough to get to that, right? So it's always, almost always rooted in deserving, okay? And self-doubt, feeling like, I don't know that I can get there, right? And so then you tell yourself subconsciously, because when we fantasize and we imagine things and we allow ourselves to daydream, our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between that and reality. So the more that we get into these daydreams and we allow ourselves to just dream big, right? The more that we do that, the more that we allow ourselves to communicate and internalize to our subconscious that this is our reality, that this is becoming our reality. Okay, so it's really good for you to allow yourself to do that, whether you're taking action on it or not. Okay. So the other way that self-sabotage can present is not just in this lack of deserving. And I'm going to give you guys steps later too as to how to tackle some of this and to begin to work on some of this so that you can have something concrete and tangible to move forward with from today's live. Okay. So I also think it's really important to point out, so many people focus on the self-sabotage as like, yeah, well, I'm repeating patterns and I'm not deserving and blah, 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 blah. And sure, that's a piece of it, like we just talked about. But it can also be as simple as there being a mismatch between your masculine energy and your feminine energy. Okay, it can literally be that simple. And all you need to do is learn where you're out of balance and tweak it just a bit to get yourself back in harmony. And then you're not going to be dealing with self-sabotaging cycles because your feminine is going to be flowing and leading the way. And then your masculine is going to be providing a nice structure and a holding container for that energy to flow safely and with ease. Okay. So that's really important because when we talk about being here on this planet and our role being here on this planet, we are meant to fulfill our energetic blueprint. We are meant to fulfill our soul's purpose, right? So if you have clarity about what your soul is here for and what you are meant to do on this planet, then there is no room for self-sabotage. Like it's not going to even present because it's so clear, right? Like this is where I'm meant to go. And the more that you remind yourself of that every freaking day, multiple times a day, return to that stillness, return to that soul, allow it to guide you, allow it to dictate next steps, then there is no room for self-sabotage because you're allowing yourself to be guided by where your soul is going, right? The only thing that really gets in the way of this is fear, right? Especially when you're really afraid of your own power because it's like, oh, well, if I actually achieve my desires, number one, do I deserve it? Like we talked about, right? Which is just conditioned thinking. But the other one is, if I get what I desire, then who will I become? Who am I going to be? How is that going to impact my relationships? How is that going to impact how I'm interacting in the world? How is that going to impact my values and who I am as a person? Right? And those questions come up because you're afraid of who you're going to become. You don't trust that entirely. And a lot of that is based on people that we've had model for us over the years and we're like, "Oh, I don't want to be like them," or But if you're feeling that way, oh, I'm afraid of being like them, or I don't want to be like them, it's because there's still a part of you that is not super confident in who you are and what your soul's purpose is, and the clarity of what you're here for and here to do. Okay. Because when that's in place and you're super confident and bold about that, then it doesn't matter what other people are doing. And it doesn't matter what other people are saying or thinking, right? Okay, let me know if you guys have questions that have come up so far. Okay. So ultimately what they want you to know is that if you're watching this either live or on the replay, and this is coming up for you, self-sabotage is coming up for you in any form in your life, you're here to break the mold, right? Like, you're here to break the mold. You don't just show up to something like this because you're not willing to think outside of the box and do things differently and break that ancestral pattern. Whether we're talking about ancestral pattern in your own life or in society collectively, right? We have collective stories and collective conditioning that we are exposed to and that impact us and our belief systems and our values. Okay. So realizing that you're here to break the mold, changing your story in this life, changing your ancestral story, right? And this is where I'm going to give you the steps for how you can start to kind of tackle this, because we're talking about a couple layers here. We talked about deserving, right? And the deserving one almost always ends up in the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because you're like, "Oh, this is what I really want, but I don't know that I can really get there." And then you take action that's either playing too small, or that's hesitant, or a little mistrusting, and then it doesn't happen and you say, "See, I told you, I can't do it." Right? Because we've acted in accordance with our belief system. Okay, so we have deserving, that lack of deserving. That's very often, I would say the vast majority of the time, again, rooted in old stories of lack, of there not being infinite resources available to all of us, whether that's love or health or money or connection, right? And then we talked about the mismatch of feminine and masculine energy, and really being able to clarify your soul's purpose and your unique energetic blueprint and what you're here for. And then we talked about the fear that happens around executing that, right? The fear around either your own power or that self-doubt that comes up. But regardless of which it is, you're here to break the mold. Okay? So that's the message that they want to bring through. So here's the steps. Okay? So there's a couple ways you guys can do this. You could do the baby step perspective, which is basically what I did with a lot of my clients as a therapist. Because I was like, and especially keep in mind when people come into a therapy office, not all the time, but a lot of times people come into the therapy office and they're fragile, right? Like, a lot of times they're suicidal, or they're like, whew, like, if I, breathe the wrong way, I'm going to be in a freaking straitjacket in the corner, right? Like, that's how they feel. That's how they feel. Like, they feel desperate. Okay. And so, in situations like that, depending on how fragile you are, depending on how much you feel you can tolerate, and how, when you start to tweak things, like, are you still going to be able to function in your life? You're still going to be able to go to work, have conversations with people, your loved ones, and attentive to your family and all of that. Be conscious of that before you decide which of these approaches to take, okay? So, from the baby step perspective, this is for, like, okay, I'm going to ease in, be a little gentle kid gloves with myself, okay? When we're talking about that one, there's 4 levels to which you can dive into this, okay? The baby steps that we always take, especially when we're working from the therapeutic perspective, and this is the beauty of merging the therapeutic and the energetic. You're going to see this so beautifully displayed tonight in this discussion, okay? So, number 1, step 1 from this baby step perspective is focusing on your actions. Just change your actions. So you know what your vision is, you know what you're looking for, you know what you're working toward. Okay? And the actions that you take, you want to make sure you're taking toward that end. Okay? So you're just going to shift that a little bit. Before you believe in it, before you trust, before you have faith, before you're feeling all gung ho and like, yes, I got this, I'm going to slay it, right? Don't wait until you're feeling that in this kind of scenario, or it's never going to happen for you. Okay. You've just got to do it. So just start taking action. And that could literally be, like if you have to reach out to somebody because you want this job opportunity with a particular company or in a particular field, and this person's reached out to you several times and you just haven't gotten back to them, right? You can literally just send them a quick message back and say, hey, so sorry for the delay. I'll get back to you shortly. You don't even have to write a big thing about it, but what you've done is you've taken action. And it's the teeniest thing, but what it does is it solidifies your intention and it communicates to the universe, this is where I'm going. Okay? So that's the easiest place to start, is to shift your action a little bit at a time. Oh, thank you, Jen, you cutie. I think I saw a question in here. As adopted, so would ancestral be in the adopted line I grew up in the biological line? I think you should look at both, Amber, depending on what you are going into it with. And if you're in your Akashic records, they'll tell you. The Akashic records will tell you whether it's your biological line or your bloodline. But that's going to depend on, your adopted line, I'm sorry, or your biological line. That's going to depend on the issue that's arising and whether we're talking about like conditioned beliefs or whether we're talking about like energetic patterns that are carried forward, because energetic patterns are going to be carried forward from your bloodline, whether you've met those people or not. Right. And energetic patterns can get carried forward in your adoptive line too, but you're not going to have as much of that like conditioning from your biological line if you didn't interact with them as much. Does that make sense? So you can play with it and just kind of see where you get the most potent response, and you'll feel the difference and you will know very clearly. Okay. So, all right. So this is the baby step perspective, right? So 1 is taking action. 2 is thoughts. We focus on shifting our thoughts, our cognitions, our mindset, our perspective, that bird's eye view, being able to see the bigger picture here. Okay, so you start to take some action, then you start to remind yourself on a daily basis, morning and night if you can, but if not, just morning. What is your bigger vision? What's the reason that you're here? What is your bigger vision? Okay. And then number 3 is your emotions. They always come around last, right? So those start to come around last. And sometimes we just need to wait. Sometimes we just need to be patient because our emotions, they're going to start to come around when they can start trusting us, that we're being consistent with action and consistent with shifting our perspective and taking that bird's eye view and that bigger perspective and shifting our mindset. And when they start to see, the emotions start to see, okay, this girl's shifting the script here and she's serious about it. Even if she's taking the tiniest little step a day, she is serious about it. Okay. So those are the ways that you can start on a conscious perspective with shifting the script. Okay. And shifting the self-sabotaging behavior. Remember, don't wait until you feel it. Just start taking the action. All right. So the 4th level of this is energy. And what's so cool about energy is that it's involved in all of it, right? It's all energy. The action is energy. The thoughts are energy. The emotions are energy. All of it's energy. The relationships are energy. Whatever it is, the vision is energy. Okay, it's all energy. So what's so cool is that as you're doing this work, you're shifting the energy. Whether you're doing it in baby steps or bigger steps, you're shifting the energy, but you can do it all at once. Okay, you don't have to do baby steps or the leap. You could do both. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how to do that now. What's nice about working with the energy instead of going baby steps, oh, I know, Laura. Hold on one second. I can take care of that. 1 second. And thanks for letting me know. Okay, cool. All set. Thanks for the prompt, Laura. Okay, cool. All right, so where was I? Okay, yeah, so you can do this alongside it. It's like, okay, you can start with these steps, and at the same time, you can do some of the deeper energetic work so that you're supporting those action steps with moving forward with more ease. okay? Because the energy just helps us move through more easily so that we don't have to just like focus so hard and just work so hard to get to our goal, okay? So the way that you do this when we're talking about self-sabotage, all right, one, use your physical body to cue you as to whether you're dealing with subconscious issue, a past life issue, ancestral issues, or inner child issues. And a lot of times our inner child, by the way, you cannot get through self-sabotage without doing very deep inner child work. Just an FYI, it's required. Okay, it's very necessary for you to do that. So, but the inner child carries codes from our ancestors, from our past lives, from our subconscious mind. So, you can just dive into inner child work if you want, or you can literally go into your physical body, identifying where that tension or that memory or that emotion you think is where it's housed, right? Like, where do I think it's housed? What do I think it looks like? How big is it? How descriptive can I get about this energy? How can I remove this from my body and transform it? By asking it questions about what lesson it's here to teach me, and by planting a seed of light within this energy to really illuminate and cleanse and clear and heal whatever's been stuck in our energy field, okay? So, so that's one beautiful way to begin working with the energy, even if you're doing it alongside the action steps we just talked about taking, okay? What's important here is that no matter how you're working with this, whether again, we're talking about past lives, we're talking about inner child, ancestral healing, whatever, is to be super compassionate with yourself and super compassionate with the ancestors who came before you. Okay. Like, yeah, they might have screwed up, but who the hell doesn't? So being really understanding and just going into it with curiosity, like, I want to know, like, where has this pattern existed in my family line? Where has this pattern existed in past lives where it's ended in a way like when I didn't self-sabotage and I actually went for my desires, what happened? Was I chucked in jail? Was I killed? Was I beaten? Was I ostracized? Like, what are the kinds of things that came up for me when I did this in past lives? Or when my ancestor did it, and then I'm carrying that kind of trauma energetically, and I'm hesitant to move forward. I'm hesitant to do something with this. Okay, does that make sense? Let me know if that doesn't make sense. All right. The other piece is this that we talked about. So that was the deserving part, right? Like cueing into your physical body, having compassion for this previous version of yourself, and really asking some of these very potent questions, okay? To either a previous version of yourself or your ancestors. And then the second part was the masculine and feminine energy, right? So here, what this is all about, especially if you guys are watching this, guarantee you that the vast majority of you, if not all of you, are empaths. Are you an empath? Say, empath here. Okay. Alicia, hi, honey. How are you? Happy Sunday. So if you're an empath, that means that you are sensitive to energies. You're sensitive to overstimulation. All the things, right? You can feel the collective energy and the individual energy that's impacting us as we go through our day to day, right? And we need to be very conscious of that. So the key here is one of the best ways that empaths can help themselves with self sabotage is to allow their feminine energy to guide them. Okay. Because, like I said, that's another reason that self sabotage arises because you're living too much in your masculine energy and you're go, 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 and you crash on your face. And it creates this cycle of you then hesitate to take the action you need to take because you're like, well, shit, I can't sustain that. Like, I can't go, 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 go because I always fall on my face or that doesn't work for me or what have you. Right. And it scares you and it feels like pressure. Okay. And we don't want it to feel like pressure. This life is meant to be enjoyable. Life is meant to be filled with flow and ease and connection that's natural. Right. So it's really good for us to tune into our feminine energy and allow ourselves to get more connected to it. Right. Allow yourself to feel into your heart and just be like, when I just kind of let my body sway and I breathe And I allow myself to develop a rhythm. And I wake up every morning and I say, hey, what do I want to do this morning? Do I want to have a snack? Or do I want to have a cup of coffee? Or do I want to chill out in bed? Or do I want to meditate? Day, a full day, whole week, and on and on and on. And you can kind of gradually add to it and just identify, okay, I listened to my energy for an entire hour. How do I feel now? How do I feel now? How was that for me? And what most people are going to realize is that we operate like a pendulum, right? So a pendulum swings back and forth and it eventually finds its space in the middle. So it's like, all right, you go all the way over here to this divine feminine, all the way over here to this divine masculine. And then you're like, ooh, okay, I'm going to eventually find my center. And that's what you do. And so it's very, very normal, friends, to go like, oh my gosh, I'm super structured. And then, oh shit, now I got to listen to my intuition. And then, oh shit, and you kind of like go back and forth to try to find a balance. So normal, especially for empaths. So what I'm telling you here is that if you have a choice right now and you're in a self-sabotaging cycle, your choice is to choose divine feminine for now. And that doesn't mean all the time. It means allow it to be the leader, allow it to be a little bit of a hierarchy where feminine is dictating a little bit more to the masculine, okay? And then once you start getting used to listening to your cues and listening to your energy and your intuition, allowing that to guide you a little bit. What do I feel like eating today? What do I feel like doing with my body today? Then you can say, okay, good. Now I have more of an intimate understanding of the nuances of my energy field and how I operate. And now that I know that, I can allow that to dictate and then bring the masculine into structure and hold me safely around it. Because that's why they work so beautifully together. We get to flow wherever the hell we want and then when we have this nice little holding container of our masculine energy to kind of keep us safe and protected, we have the freedom to flow with more ease. Okay. So it's just like allow your divine feminine or allow your feminine energy to guide you just a little bit. Could be a couple minutes, could be then an hour, then 2 hours, and allow yourself to start getting accustomed to this. And then don't get to the point where you feel so chaotic, right? That's what happens to a lot of people. With the feminine energy, it can be this like wild feminine, like this chaotic, emotional, passionate energy, which is phenomenal and so creative. But you also want to make sure that you're feeling, I guess, like you can channel it in a way that's productive towards your desires. And that's how the masculine is helpful. To say, like, okay, I love all this. Let me gather all this feminine energy. Let me bring it in. Let me observe it. Let me experience it. And now that I have it all here with me, let me put it out all on the table. And I'm just going to spend some time with it. I'm going to spend some time observing it. Okay. And this is what I always call love yourself forward. I love this skill. I use it for myself all the time. I downloaded it from the AKASH. I don't even remember, a little while ago, where if I'm sitting there, I'm at the drawing board and I have all this feminine energy, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's so good. Bring it on. Yum, 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 right? I'm sitting here with all this goodness. And then I'm like, okay, guess what? I'm going to love myself for it. I'm going to set myself a reminder for tomorrow. Or I'm going to go write myself a note. Or I'm going to pull a couple cards and like leave them on my desk for the morning. Or I'm going to charge a crystal and put it next to my bed or whatever it is I need to do so that the next day, what I'm able to do is remind myself of all of that beautiful energy that I was able to harness the day before. But cue myself to put some structure around it, cue myself to take this action step toward it. Does this make sense? Let me know if you guys have questions around this. Yeah, inconsistency is exactly what it feels like, Alicia, when you're going back and forth with this masculine and feminine energy. And that's a very normal swing. And as you become more and more in tune and intimately connected to your unique energetic blueprint and soul's purpose, you're not gonna swing like that anymore. It's unbelievable. You're just more resilient, you're more responsive. It's so natural. It's so beautiful. Well, I'm glad that you make yourself get up and do things, Amber. I think that's good. I think that that's why I say you need to be conscious of it. Like if you're in a more fragile space, you're not going to want to start with this energetic work. If you're in a more fragile space, you're going to start more with the steps that I talked about earlier, the baby steps, which is action first, then shifting your thoughts, your mindset from this bigger perspective, and then focusing on reining in your emotions and working with your energy. Okay? And the emotions really in that sequence just require patience, right? Because you're changing your actions. And so that's why when you say I have to make myself get up and do things, yeah, that's the action I'm talking about. And love yourself forward. Set reminders for yourself. There's certain times a day when you know you got to get up and get a snack to take care of yourself, or you know that you have to do X, Y, and Z, right? Oh, that's so funny, Alicia, because what I was just going to tell you, this is the next thing in my notes here, that was right on the heels of what you were just talking about, which was, what was your question? Let me just go back. Yeah, the inconsistency, right? Is that to get to know your energetic design really, really intimately, the best places that I've found to do it are in the Akashic Records and with human design. I have to say, I love human design. I think it's phenomenal. But I do, and I like that there's structure around it. But I do find that the Akash brings more power into my life with the way that I channel and the way that I integrate it and really find harmony in my masculine and feminine energies. But human design is a brilliant tool. And I think it's honestly, it's more tangible for people, especially if they're starting out intuitively or if they're feeling like they're in kind of a confused space. It's really, really tangible, you know? And I know it's complicated, but if you get somebody who can really explain it to you well, that helps a lot. But yeah, so so that's a beautiful way to start understanding your own intimate energetic blueprint, because you want to work to your energy rather than modifying your energy to make things work. Because if you're not working to your energy, you're going to end up self-sabotaging, because you're going to end up burning out. You're not living in accordance with your natural energetic blueprint. And so there's always this rub. It's like sandpaper. You know, it's like, here's my natural and energetic blueprint, and here's what I'm trying to get to, right? And so it's like there's like this rub. Okay. So it's really important for you to understand and lean back into who am I? Like, who was I designed to be energetically, spiritually? Not just what does Laura Mazzotta want to do with her experience in life and her ego and her relationships and all other things. You know, honestly, it's fairly inconsequential in my opinion. Like, I have much bigger things to do here than all that little, like, focusing on those little details and what's going on in my mind. Like, it's just not that important. When my mind's going a million miles a minute, it's not as important as my bigger vision. Just not. Okay. Yes, Danielle, I love it. HD is wonderful. Yep, exactly. It's a great start and then deeper energy. Yeah, it is. Human design, that's a really loaded question, Amber. Human design is, it's like a combination of the I Ching and astrology and the chakra system, and it puts it all together, and it's based on your birth time and your birth date and your birth location. It's able to identify you know, exactly what your energetic design is, from the tips of your top of your head to the tips of your toes, or really to your sacral. And you determine your human design. You can get it on mybodygraph.com. If you go to mybodygraph.com, I'll type that in for you here. You can get a free human design chart, and you're going to be really freaking confused. So you might want to grab a book around that as well, to identify what each center means and how they work together. And um, the nice thing about human design is, you know, it never changes. You know, whatever your human design is, it's your human design. Like, that's what you were born with, and it doesn't change over the course of your life. So it provides people with this really solid, safe context of who they are, right? People feel very comfortable resting in human design. I love it. I think it's fascinating. I'm actually in a mastermind right now to learn more and more about human design, because I absolutely love it. So anyway, let me know if you guys have other questions, because that's really what the Akash was bringing forward for you. I'm just going to review this, is that, you know, they're talking about this shows up through not following through or making decisions that don't take you towards your desires. And it's rooted in a lack of deserving and self-doubt, a mismatch of feminine and masculine energy, and not really having enough clarity around your soul's blueprint and your energetic blueprint. There's two different things, right? There's your soul's purpose, really, and then there's your energetic blueprint. So really, the soul's purpose is very clearly found in the Akashic records and transcendental meditation. And, human design is a beautiful way to begin to understand your energetic blueprint. And you can get much deeper into that in the records. Although, to be honest, I found most of it in the records anyway, but I love combining modalities because then I just feel like a powerhouse. And when you put modalities together, they're even more magnified in their energetic impact. So go for it. Okay, and then we talked about if you're feeling kind of fragile, you're going to want to start working on self-sabotage through first taking action, right, towards those desires, towards those that bigger picture, that bigger vision that you continue to hold on a daily basis. Even if that action is just super, super tiny, you're setting that intention and you're following through, shifting your perspective to the bird's eye view, and then starting to work after that on some of the energetic components underneath, which always will include inner child work. Always, always, always. And using your physical body to understand um, what is this energy that I'm feeling, whether it's emotional or physical or thoughts, where is it in my body? Where is it housed? And how can I use this wisdom from my body to understand the lesson that's coming forward, right? And having compassion and forgiveness for this previous version of yourself and your ancestors for the fact that self-sabotage keeps coming up. Okay? Then you're going to harmonize your masculine and feminine. We talked about that, allowing your feminine to lead and then bringing masculine in. And then getting to know your design. The Akashic records are human design. So if you guys want to join me, my mastermind is open, called Brilliance Mastermind. And this is actually for spiritual entrepreneurs. So if you guys are spiritual entrepreneurs, this is the way to go to really harness your divine blueprint with very soul aligned business strategy that feels so natural and easeful and inspired and heart centered and service based. And we download the whole thing from the Akashic records. I'll show you how they can run your business so that you don't have to do it, right? It gets to be that easy. And because they know better than we do, and they get to dictate what is in the best interest of the collective to receive from our service, right? So let me know if you guys, I'm going to put a link in the comments. You guys can read more about that, but you can always reach out to me and ask questions. I'm live here every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. And on Saturdays, I post what I'm going to be chatting about because that's when the records are like, all right, yeah, this is definitely what the world needs to hear. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And I'm actually doing, how many of you are in Clubhouse? Yes, Alicia, I want to do a AKASH together. That'd be awesome. Danielle Kabbalah, good map of the psyche. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I love that, Danielle. That's a beautiful resource. There's so many resources. And that's the thing. It's funny. I almost posted earlier because it just kept coming up for me from the AKASH. It's like we have exponential resources. We have exponential opportunities for growth and expansion. It's just reminding ourselves of that. Like no matter what comes up in our lives, we have exponential resources on this earth itself, in addition to the universe at large. Right. So just remember that, like, whether somebody says, oh, you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way, it doesn't matter. Like, we have the ability, all of us have the ability to tap into this energy, and it's all the same energy. It's just finding a map or a pathway that feels really, really aligned with our energy. Right. So, anyway, if you guys have questions about whether the Akash aligns with your energy, let me know and I'm happy to answer. But I will throw the mastermind link here. Let me know if you guys have questions and I will chat with you next week. All right. Oh, that's what I was asking you. If you guys were in Clubhouse, I'm doing a Clubhouse room tomorrow night. I just started a club called Bold Talk, and we are talking about like the deep taboo topics and that stuff that a lot of people shy away from talking about. Oh, Kabbalah is the other thing in HD. Thank you so much. Love that. So appreciate that, Danielle. So yeah, and we're going to be talking about money shame. This runs so deeply, and we did one session on this already with really, really high level thought leaders and visionaries, and we brought in even higher level thought leaders and visionaries into this version of money shame too. We also have a free, we can call it a bonus, but it's a money shame field guide that is absolutely kick ass, will completely change your relationship and your perspective on money. And you're going to get that for free if you come to the Clubhouse room tomorrow night. So it's Monday the 8th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. If you guys need a Clubhouse invite, send me via PM your phone number, because I think I have 3 left right now that I can offer. But I'd love for you to join us. There's a lot of really fun things going on this week. I'm also going to be doing a live on Instagram on Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, and that's at my Emerge Healing and Wellness. And then I have Akashic Healings in Room for Healing, which is my free Facebook group. This has become all the rage, by the way. The energy that moves in Akashic Healings is amazing. I'm in the space of the records, and everybody brings forward whatever it is they need to heal or clear, get some feedback on from the records. And everybody in the community just comes together and supports one another. And it's just a really beautiful connecting time. So lots of good opportunities to get in on some free spiritual wisdom this week. So let me know if you guys need links to anything, and I'm happy to share them here. And I will see you soon. Mwah. Have a good week. Bye.